And so this is the sharing part. Now, everybody, you can imagine how you would do that for your project. But feedback is really what it's all about. Because feedback is where you gather value out of this process. And so this quote from Chris has always left me, smiling. And I'll read it because I like it. So he says, the digital successes of the 21st century are all about letting users share their experience. We're talking about Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, name it. So why not share your development process with the people who will ultimately going to make or break your title? And I thought that was a great quote and introduction to the following. And so in terms of feedback, in Star Citizen, we've always tried, the team has always strived to get feedback from users in multiple different ways. And I'll talk about some of the tools that we've got. But I like to illustrate this with the ultimate feedback that we can get with this little video. And so we're looking at a ship here called the Redeemer. We're inside the ship right now. We're going through. Now, this ship was designed, modeled, programmed, and put into the game by fans. This is not produced by Cloud Imperium at all. And so we organized a contest called the Next Great Starship, and we had teams compete in making the best ship for the game. And so this ship was completely made by the community. So this is just to show, and now it's obviously a very popular ship, as you can imagine. But what's cool about that is that this is the ultimate form of feedback, right? It's like, here's a ship for you guys that would fit this role, right? Which was a drop ship with military, features. But what's even better is that now it's even more liked because it comes from the community. It's like them telling us what to do. In reality, this is such a great win for us. We could ignore that. Most major publishers ignore user feedback of this quality. But what we found in 4 years of development is that the fans will give you amazing feedback. They'll write entire story chapters for you. If you just take the time to read it, get inspired by them as well, as you're inspiring them. And so for feedback, there are multiple ways that we do that. So we started very early with very simple functionality, like, we have a forum, and so it's like, okay, well, developers will take questions. And so at the beginning, the team was 5 people, so there was 5 threads. Every developer would come in there and answer questions. Nowadays, the project is so big that it's per discipline. And so you can ask a question to any artist and they'll answer you, or any 3D programmer, engine programmers, gameplay designers. And so this is a super valuable piece of feedback because the question that the fans ask you direct elements that maybe you didn't think of or that you didn't think were important. And so the forums are still going today. That's been the first thing that we did. Design forums is the same thing, but more related to design. And so game design. Like the entire organization system that I was telling you about earlier, a guild system, was basically like the major design session for that was just asking the fans what they wanted. It was like, okay, guys, we're about to do guilds. What do you guys want in the guild system? And then we got 1,000 replies. But in those replies, we took the time to read it and design the system with that in mind. We knew, what was needed to deliver. Community polls is a big one. It seems stupid, but I usually give this talk with somebody from Cloud Imperium, which is as John is always with me. And John at this time in the talk will usually go and say, you think you know, but you don't know. So you think you know what your fans want. You have a gut feeling about it, but really you don't know. And I'll give you an example of that. So we used to we still do run community polls sometimes. And at some point, we asked the community the $1 million question: what do you want to do in Star Citizen? And that was a super easy poll, right? And so in our mind, it's like, okay, we're going to rig the answers, right? Ship combat, and then FPS combat, and then, economy, and then, exploration, all that stuff. Well, the answer that came back at 75% was exploration. And so, okay, game designers meeting right now. And so there was a bunch of changes that came from these sessions because we could steer the vision of the game, even though we thought we knew where we were going, it was a no-brainer for us. Like, ship combat is number one. But no, the value that fans wanted out of it had nothing to do with that. They considered those a given, right? And so that influenced, obviously, the development of the rest of the project. Town hall sessions, live events, all of these where you can be in person with people and talk with them is invaluable, because then you get this rapid feedback, and they'll tell you things like fringe stuff, like, oh, how you made this button in this interface is really annoying, and you're like, nobody told us that. But, and then you factor that in. And if you're diligent and you respect the fans, you'll carry that in your game design documents or in your project documents, and then you'll know and you'll keep that. And so this is on your current platform, so whatever you got is going to be good. But you got to stay, I'm going to say it again, but you got to stay connected where people talk about your project. So Reddit and the press and Twitch and YouTube and other platforms, you gotta have that pulse, always available, so that you can, either intervene on these medias and bring people back to your platform to talk about it, or just be aware that there's something going on. So you gotta stay connected. So in terms of feedback, there's two different types of feedback that you'll get. So there's direct information. So, somebody writes to you and says, this sucks, or this is amazing. Fan discussions are also a form of feedback. So when we've got the most dedicated group of fans ever. And so we've had discussions about physics and, real world simulations and star bases that are so in depth, right? That they're worth a research paper, right? And so that's direct feedback. Bug reports is a direct feedback. Like, this doesn't work, because I didn't mention that, but you can play the game today, even in its alpha state. And so we get feedback from players actually playing the game. So this is direct feedback. Indirect feedback is going to be analytics. People watching a clip, or people playing the game and doing certain behaviors. Obviously, gameplay behaviors is a big one. And so this is indirect information. And the reason why I outline that is because when you are in open dev and you're getting all of this feedback, you need to make sure that you're using quantitative data to support your qualitative feedback. And so if I go back to my example, the Redeemer sucks, but everybody's playing the Redeemer. That just puts some things in balance, right? And so you always need to validate what you're getting as feedback with data to be able to make an informed decision.